So we're going to get started in just a second. Want to remind you all, welcome to the Slow Food Lunch Break. We're going to be talking to Ples Montgomery the fourth today. Looks like he's joining right now here. So let's go ahead and see if we can work. All right, here we go. Hey, there we go. Hey, Ples, how are you, man? It's nice to
Doing all
meet
right. How's it going?
you. Good, good. Welcome. So again, for the audience here, welcome everybody. And for those that watch us on repeat later on Facebook or here on Instagram, I'm joined today with Ples Montgomery the fourth of Oak Cliff Veggie Project for our second slow food lunch break, where we basically talk to the movers and shakers in the food scene here in Dallas, people that are living up to the values that we have with slow food, trying to push good, clean, and fair food for everybody. And I think today you're the perfect person to talk to about fair food. And you've been working on this project, Oak Cliff Veggie Project. So I want to give yourself an opportunity to introduce what that is and yourself, and when you got started with this project.
Good afternoon, everybody. How's everyone doing out there? First, thank you, Seth and Slow Foods DFW for having us, for inviting us into this conversation. I think this is very timely and a needed type of conversation that needs to go on between the different organizations and in Dallas that are doing this kind of work. I think this is really great what you're doing. So the Oak Cliff Veggie Project started as a very small food distribution, actually by my mother. I am the co-founder of it. Betty Montgomery, my mother, was inspired or moved to start a food distribution to provide better access to fresh produce within a community that falls under the designation of a food desert in the southern district of Dallas. And so from there, it has grown. That was probably about 6 years ago or so. And from there, it has grown into the nonprofit that everyone knows today as the Oak Cliff Veggie Project. Maybe about three or 4 years, in about 2018 is when I kind of got involved with it after volunteering. Started my journey in urban agriculture by volunteering with Big Tex Urban Farms at Fair Park. The Dallas Mayor Star Council and Big Tex Urban Farms was looking for a project in the District 3 in the southern sector to support with the resources to get a community garden started. And I kind of happened to be in the right place at the right time. So we got our first community garden started at in Singing Hills at 5915 Singing Hill Drive, where you can find us on the third Saturday of every month doing food distribution. So that kind of led us into what the Veggie Project is all about, where we are, our three tenets are education, cultivation, and preparation. So our mission is to cultivate a healthier, stronger, more self-reliant community by means of reintroducing the practice of cooperative community cultivation. This in the days of yesteryear, the community garden was it was integral part of the community of any community, any neighborhood. Everyone had different families had gardens in their yards. Everyone was growing a little bit of their own food. People were trading that food within those communities, or there was just a main communal gardening farming space that anyone could walk to or catch a quick ride to. And that's something that we have lost throughout the years with quote unquote modernization. It's something we'd like to bring back into reintroduce to communities as something that can help heal and build healthier, stronger, more self-reliant communities.
Well, it sounds like you're well on your way to making that happen already, at least in where you are. And I wonder, with what's going on in the world right now, you've probably noticed how everybody's suddenly into gardening again. Got people planting victory gardens, and so this is a really timely kind of subject. And it seems like, everywhere I turn, everybody's like, hey, we're going to get plant starts, and oh, can you introduce me to some farmers? And so we figured we'd bring somebody on who knows a lot more about that and is, actually out there trying to start these gardens. And I guess the first question I have for you is, what have been the big challenges so far? One of the things that I've seen, I guess, living in Dallas, in this area for a long time, is we actually have a lot of food deserts. I mean, we have a lot of grocery stores. I think we have more like more grocery stores than anywhere else in the country by some measures, but it doesn't seem like any of them are in the South sector. And I wonder with all of the incentives that are getting thrown around by the government, is this just people just don't particularly want to do this, or what has been your experience with this? Because you're kind of on the ground.
So the first thing that I think that we need to look at is the fact that prior to the onset of the pandemic, with the food system working at high capacity, the food system as we know it, I mean the industrial food system in America, where food is grown, most of the food is grown in certain parts of the country and then shipped, stored and packed and shipped, and it's grown so that it can make those trips across the country, right? We're seeing those systems fail because even at their best, those systems operate with a 40% food loss average.
Wow.
Anywhere between some place that happens at the point of somewhere between the point of harvest and consumption. So it has to do with it has a lot to do with how we have, as a society, have been mismanaging our industrial food landscape, so to speak. So we're all very much responsible. The challenge in building from the ground up a localized a local focus and base of an urban agricultural infrastructure, which is what is needed to combat that situation that everyone is very, very much relying and dependent on this big giant food system. The inadequacies and inequities in it have been revealed in a very loud way over the past few months, right? So the solution, the main solution, one of the main solutions to that is a very strong local resilient agricultural food system. Now, the challenge to that is the community buy-in and the value that food has. So in these food deserts, there are grocery stores, right? But the actual definition of food desert is lack of access to fresh produce, where there's a certain distance between the individuals that need that fresh produce and how far they would have to travel to get to it. So the reason why we have so much of that in the Dallas-Fort Worth area is because the even the stores that are located in these quote unquote food deserts are they don't have fresh produce. They may have produce, but a lot of the brands that are located there, these Cost Saver Plus, those types of stores, those are secondhand stores when it comes to produce. So as produce is grown on a national level, there are different grades of it. So when it is sold through the wholesaling system, there's top grade that is sold for produce that is going to go to a grocery store that you as an end user, you're going to see what that produce looks like. So they want it to look a certain way and make sure that you think that you feel like if it doesn't look this way, then I can't buy it. Meanwhile, the place where you get your juice, where you might buy your cold pressed juice from, or you might buy your sandwich from, or your grab and go salad from, they're not so enthralled with buying produce that looks a certain way because they're going to chop it up and you never see the whole fruit. So that sectioning of the way the produce is grown and moved through the system has a lot to do with it. So there's produce that goes to these kind of top shelf restaurant distribution hubs, the food stores, the Whole Foods, that kind of thing. They and I'm not trying to rag on anybody's program.
No, for sure.
But let's say they might get the first choice of the best looking, closest produce to them. They are able to sell it, and some of what they don't able to sell, it then moves down through the system into is bought off is bought off and then bought off and sold at different, and then moved down to this. The last stop is these Cost Saver Pluses and these food stores that are in the quote unquote food deserts, right? So even though there's produce getting there, it may not be fresh produce. It may not be quality. It may not be to the quality that it at that time. As we all know, as soon as things are harvested, it's like a car coming off the lot. You start losing the value in that. And that's the nutritional value. That's the flavor content, which is what we all look for, what we all need out of food. Like, yes, we enjoy eating because it tastes good. Absolutely. But at the end of the day, it's about nutrition. So there are so many things that the value in our food system is what's missing, and what the main challenge is building these local resilient food systems that the nutritional value that you are looking for as a consumer, you have to understand what it takes, what goes into that. There is the farmer who is running this big 1 acre, half acre, 10 acre, 30 acre, 100 acre farm. The amount of work it actually takes to go into that, the people that they have to pay, the packaging that has to go into the regulations and systems that are that the federal government has, the USDA. Like there are permits and things that have to be paid for. And then if we're talking about the national system or some kind of national trucking system, like you have to move the food from one place to another,
Right.
that it costs, that costs. So a lot of our communities, unfortunately, we do not, the understanding of the value of food is not there. And that doesn't mean that food should be super expensive, but the compensations need to be understood and need to be managed in a much better way than what has been happening. It
Exactly.
takes a lot to produce the amount of food that we see moving throughout the country, whether it be from local farmers or from a farmer that's 1,000 miles away from you. And our communities do not have just the understanding is not there. It's not given.
So, you know, when we talk about the value of food, I think anybody that's ever watched a farmer work, you know, for a day or participated in that themselves understands, you know, the next time they go to the grocery store and they see the tomato and it's like a quarter, they're like, wow, you know, how much of that really moves all the way back up? And then
Right.
we're talking about, you know, the way that food moves into these communities. So, you know, if we've got a population of people in general, really, in this country that don't value produce probably as highly as we should, and we're not really willing to spend higher prices. We're always looking for lower prices most of the time. And then that's coupled with these food deserts where they may have produce, but it's not like high quality produce necessarily, or maybe they don't have consistency, or maybe it's just not as available because of transportation issues, whether that's from the people or from distribution, right? Well, what is your vision to beginning to change this? I assume it has something to do with gardens.
Yeah, it does. The community garden aspect of our program, which is the Cultivate the Community initiative, is to help establish as many community gardens as possible. But community garden is a terminology that kind of has this idea of what's the term, like as hobby at best, right?
Yeah.
And when you're producing food, it is very easy actually to produce more food than you as an individual can consume. The issue is the same issue that happens in the industrialized system of farming, right? So it's storage, it's
Mhm.
transportation, and doing that in a way that is going to protect people and keep everybody safe. And I don't mean just from a pandemic, but from the natural foodborne diseases that come if you leave food sitting out for too long and it's not refrigerated properly and those types of things. So that's where we have those are the missing components within what a local the solutions that a localized food system could provide. The reason why we had the reason why there was these stories about the food being plowed under at the farms, and why this whole the farm to family program was initiated by the federal government to pay for these things, and it's twofold. It's because the farmers, the market streams that a lot of the farms were dependent on dried up, i.e. Your tourism industry, your entertainment industry, the school systems, those market systems dried up, right? So then now the farmer can't pay the farmhand, so now there's no hands to even pull the food out of the ground in the first place and get it packaged up and sent. And then there's the actual transportation and storage where we have our the distribution networks, the wholesalers. They only have so much refrigeration space at their warehouses, wherever they be located. Those are bottlenecks within the system. Now, a lot of those bottlenecks are purposely placed there because just like any other commodity, like diamonds, for example, diamonds aren't actually rare. They are
Right.
a certain number of them that are kept off of the market in order to provide it to put them at a certain value level at the when they are actually purchased. And food is done is kept and moved in the same way, just like
Interesting.
a lot of other products. So it's a matter of truly analyzing the systems that we have. Um, in order to find out where the inequities lie and the inconsistencies lie, and tackling those in a very collective and meaningful way to provide the most value for both the people who are growing the food and for the people who are using and eating the food at the end of the day.
Yeah, I
That
think,
should be the goal.
yeah.
Like agriculture is a linchpin of human civilization. We didn't have economics and military and politics until we had a stable agricultural system so that we could feed ourselves and each other. And we've gotten so far away from that as in several other areas as well. Like teachers aren't valued the way that they should be. The farmers are not valued the way that they should be. Healthcare providers are not valued the way that they should be. And so these are some of the things that we need to look around. On a back to on a local level, we all need to take a little more time. I think we've seen this boom in what is happening. Everybody interested in gardening. It's not something that people have not been interested in. Everybody's been interested in it. It takes time to do it though, and you have to have those local sources. Like everybody has access to the internet. You can look up online and see some videos, but it speaks very. There's something to be said about the in-person learning aspect of the process.
Yeah.
To have someone local that you can go to, that you can trust, that you can ask, okay, find out where these local farms are and know those farmers and you know their practices. That way you don't have to trust advertising, which anybody that studied it, I studied advertising. That was my actual field of study at college was
Oh,
marketing.
really?
And it's literally, you literally learn how to brainwash people to put a message that's going to pull at their emotions, at their fears, at their joys, like what have you. So the only way to combat that is to know what is actually happening and know who your farmers are and shop and purchase and support as local systems as possible. And then we need our local governance structures to help put money into programs that will allow organizations like Slow Foods DFW, Oak Cliff Veggie Project, Big Tex Urban Farms, Restorative Farms, will give us the means and the connections within the local system to build those local infrastructures so that if we are growing this food, if the community is participating in growing that food, that food can be properly stored and then disseminated into those communities that in a way that provides value on all areas of the chain. And then there's also the waste side of it, where we have Harvest Project Food Rescue here in Dallas that has been working for years behind the scenes, reducing that food waste and helping to educate people that the food doesn't have to look perfect. Like but again, this requires a platform to educate our community on that, to say, hey, just because it doesn't look the way it does in the store does not mean it's not still edible. Yeah, maybe it might not be edible, but you need to be educated and understanding. We need to educate our community and work together so that we all have a better understanding of what edible food actually looks like.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm seeing a couple of things here. One is sort of the individual needing to kind of pay attention to where the food's coming from, but also understand that, there's more food that's edible than maybe they think. And then, kind of bringing that out to the community level, we're talking about people coming together in a way to sort of create this like real local agriculture. But I want to talk to you about the government part of this because, you see a little bit of this, I think, happening. There's a lot of excitement around farmers markets, for instance, in our area. We have some really, really good ones, some kind of okay ones as well. And people seem to show up there. But I'm wondering from sort of a, I guess, upper level community and like looking at the government, what would be a good system in order to actually start this? Because I think that, like we were talking about kind of earlier, people are excited about these things now, and it seems like there's a little bit of tension now that people would actually be willing to make some of these changes, maybe if we knew what to change.
So the best thing that the government can do is we need them to ease up on the restrictions. I mean, we need the community members, any community-based food organizations. We need to be putting more pressure on our local governments in order to allow for more markets. Like there's only a certain window of the year, a certain number of weekends out of the year that a farmer's market can operate in the Dallas area. There's only a certain amount of hours per day that you are allowed to operate, and you have to be at certain distances from other farmers markets, specifically like the downtown farmers market.
Right.
That we've seen unfortunately, we've seen a decline of the number of farmers that actually attend who are growing their own produce. Even the ability for a community organization to set up a market in a at a whether it's a vacant lot, whether it's in front of it's on a parking lot with other businesses, whether it's on a church lot, the steps that we have to go through, like those need to be reevaluated and really given a little more leeway, so that when you have if the Dallas city government is looking at this newfound interest in community garden and participating in local food systems, that seeing how high that it is here in Dallas and how many people actually want this, that the literally what the problem is, the legal situations that are in place that allow for the trade of local food, whether it's somebody that's growing it in their backyard, or it's somebody that has
Right.
2 acres behind their home, or transforms their empty lot that they were going to put a business on, and now they're growing food there until they can afford to put their business up. That there are outlets more than just the one main hub in downtown, and unfortunately, there's nothing else like that in the southern sector of Dallas, in the areas where it is
Yeah.
actually most needed, and in those areas, actually they make it the hardest to set up in those areas, and just to do that business of bringing people together to interact with each other. And I know we have to take all these precautions now, but before this was ever an issue, like it's incredibly hard to set up a market that allows for especially these populations that are dependent on using let's say they're on the government support programs, the WIC, the Women, Infant, and Children program, or they have SNAP benefits. Like setting up there are barriers to setting up these programs that the government systems have not made easier, nor have a lot of the organizations that have been around in this town for a while have not made it easy for people to get access to, or have not been set, even trying to set up at times that make it convenient. The issue about low priced food and that kind of thing is this idea of convenience. Like that's what we need it to be, and that's not how food actually works.
No,
Not convenient
not convenient at all.
exactly. So it's an understanding that we kind of have to move. Do like the title of Slow Foods DFW. Like we have to. This is something where we really need to slow down the way that we're making moves, and not to have it be this very fast introduction. Like it's not like going through a drive-through to get some food that
Right.
somebody else has already prepared for you. That's not the point of this. Like we want more families together, breaking bread together and cooking meals together and passing down these traditions and these recipes from years in their family, and they need fresh, healthy produce to do that. And I mean, even going even a step further is the health of the community. Like that's the first word in our mission, is to build a healthier community. And
Yeah.
so many of these things that we could be these local food programs can be partnering with the local healthcare systems in order to provide that different level of healthcare that puts the person that needs the healthcare more in charge of their of their own health, rather than being
Oh,
told,
no
this is what you
kidding.
need to
Yeah.
do, this is the pill that you need to take, or now you're done. Like this is going to be your situation for the rest of your days. And that has been proven by so many that it's just the farthest thing from the truth. Like changes to diet and lifestyle, they take time. They take a slowing down and a working together of these systems, whether it be a mom and pop, maybe whether it be a mom and pop food pop-up food store that's run by a local teacher, that this is her quote unquote side business, but that she provides they provide they provide healthy food options for folks, or whether it be the cafeteria in the school or in the hospital for that matter.
Yeah.
We ought to be working more together, and there's actually federal dollars that do this. But if the city is not pushing its businesses to participate in that, like and then on the food waste side, there's programs with the city of Dallas that they are supposed to be working with businesses to collect the things that can go into compost or be taken to farms to feed to
Right.
animals. But this stuff ends up getting just thrown away because there's no pressure being put on anybody on the businesses. There's no city mandates, there's no ordinances, and the ones that are out there are so outdated, and we're not putting pressure enough on them to review these things and to change these ordinances. So it's easier for us to all work together.
Yeah, well, I think we're getting a really good list of things to start writing our council people about here,
Yeah,
and
I hope everybody that's on and listening is writing these things down and go
we're
to your
gonna we're gonna write
council.
them down and send them out to everybody that's on our email list, actually, because this is exactly the right stuff to be doing right now. And I want to hit on a couple of these points. We talked about this idea where we don't have the year-round availability of this produce. And somebody in the comments mentioned that it would, if we were able to sell this produce more easily, then more farmers would be growing it, which makes perfect sense, of course. And so I think the idea of an urban farm stand and the idea of having a year-round farmers market that's really full of farmers, and perhaps a more a system, maybe a wheel and spoke kind of situation where you've got more distribution hubs so that we can increase that access, or things that Dallas should really be trying to lead the charge in. And I think that if we did start interacting with our community managers a little bit more, and our city leaders, I think that these are things that we could accomplish. I think that we've got a couple fairly progressive folks on city council now that would be pretty interested in seeing these changes. And so that's something that definitely we're gonna push for as a community here with Slow Food, and we'll start beating their doors down. Before we run out of time here, Ples, I want to ask you about how people can get involved. We've got some questions from the audience that came up when we posted this, and people are really specifically interested in how they can support you and what you're doing, because what you're doing is amazing. But I think people are also really interested in how they can personally get involved with what you're doing, and if there's volunteer opportunities, and how folks can get involved with that starting now.
Absolutely. So we actually currently operate about 4 community gardens in the southern sector. We have a few other new locations that are going to be coming online over the course of this year. The first way to get involved is to start growing on your own. The easiest way to do that is to regrow. Start by regrowing your food scraps. If you are going to the store and you are buying whatever produce you are buying, if you get peppers, if you get cucumbers, if you get apples, like whatever you have, if it has seeds in it, take some of those seeds and try and plant them. Look you up some videos, contact us. I know there's a few great local farmers at Big Tex Urban Farms, Drew Demler and Baron Horton down there. There's Ramblin' Farms. My personal favorite farmer is Darcia Houston. That can help create a space for you, no matter how much space you actually have to work with. We'll teach you about how to regrow from your food scraps. A lot of your leafy greens, your celery, your lettuces, your onions, those are things that can be regrown. So that's a great way to really start, is to try growing some of your own food. And this lends to the education about the process of growing food for the individual, so you understand what it truly really takes. Please reach out to us on our Facebook page. We're still working on getting our full website up and running. But right now we have the Facebook page and the Instagram page here. Every weekend we are rotating between our local community garden spaces, where you can come out on that weekend and help us with our food distribution. The veggie store was our very first project, and that's where we distribute food for free. We also pass out recipe information, local health resources, and other food resources. There's a great amount of food banks in the southern sector that can help out with that. And then also some marketplace. There's the holistic community market that sets up in various locations. You can find them on Instagram as well. Support the Harvest Project. If you want to support us, really just you can contact me at plesmm4@gmail.com. You can message us, please, on the Facebook page, and we can give you the rundown of where our gardens are located at, and how often we need to be tending to those gardens. The other way to get involved is to find out who, if you follow our page and several of the other pages, they will let you know where there are local farming operations going on, where you can purchase seedlings from them to get started. With Restorative Farms Veggie Project, we sell seedlings. We have a new project going on where you can purchase a ready-made grow box, much like Restorative Farms is doing, where it'll be a raised bed box that will be complete with soil and some seedlings to help get you started if you have that space. That is based on you make a donation to us, we come out and set you up and provide, and then that
Oh, wow.
really helps go into to support the ongoing operation of our community gardens and our food distribution project. If you are part of if you have a kids group or a youth group, and we have, as we are slowly starting to move out of less social distancing and being able to interact more with each other, please contact us. We have these garden spaces set up. We want to begin to teach our youth about these growing practices and get them out into the garden, get their hands into the garden so they understand that no, the green beans do not come out of a can in the store. They come out of the ground somewhere that somebody put their love and their effort and their time into. And then also preparation. We're going to be doing a lot more educational classes around how to prepare these foods so that when you do get them, you know what to do with them, and you can. It allows you to live a much more healthy lifestyle on your terms. And please support local, support local, support local folks, and then push your businesses. Find out if the places that you're going to buy your food from or buy your juice from, push them to support local. They can purchase from. They can purchase food from a community garden. Make a donation and then that goes into their business, and then that supports that local program. It's just about us working together to make sure that the money stays as local as possible, and that the farmer is being paid. That's who you're supporting. If you support a local farm, you can know that you are supporting someone from your community who is taking the time to grow that. There's a Dallas Half Acre Farm, grows really great lettuces. That's another local farmer, Trisha Ray, with Yummy's Edible Plants. She has the best purple hull peas in the city. If I can be a little, if I can shoot her a plug real quick, she has farm fresh eggs, different animals. If you want to get started, there's Dallas Urban Farms. They do rabbits, and they're growing. They're growing a lot of good things that you can support. So follow our pages, follow those pages. Support those people, and also support the local food businesses. They are going to be. We are building a network of local small family food businesses that we're going to start supporting. They will start supporting the local farmers. So you will know that you are supporting a local business on all fronts. That their food supply is coming from a local business, and they're feeding their families. They're feeding the city locally here. So we want to keep the money moving as much as possible within the realms of local. And local can mean down the street. It can mean 150 miles away.
Yeah.
But the idea is knowing who your farmer is. Like, start putting that pressure on. Be a more informed consumer. Ask where do you get your eggs from? Where are you getting this from? Where are you getting that from? Do you support these local businesses? Just that question is going to help to move everybody in the right direction of how to build a more resilient local food system that wouldn't have these issues, wouldn't fall so heavily victim to when situations like this happen. And if the entire system crumbles, we know that we all have each other's backs, and that we are working towards those goals.
Well, I gotta say, Ples, you're doing good work, and you are a wealth of information. So we need to plan on doing something like this again, a little bit longer, some more people, and talking maybe when we can all meet in public, because I really want to pick your brain about more of these things.
Right on. If we have any more time, did anybody in the comments? I was trying to follow the comments. Anybody down there have any questions they wanted to get with real
Let's
quick?
see here. Well, while we look through there, I'm looking through. I did want to mention that the big takeaways that I've got from this today are that we need to be putting pen to paper and asking for these things that we want in the world, right? I mean, actually, the city managers are actually pretty accessible here in our city. Most of them are on Facebook. You can literally just tag them in posts. But what I've noticed is a lot of people don't even know who, is running their district. And so I think it's a good idea for everybody to research that, understand where you live, understand your community, figure out the name of your city council person, and start blowing them up on Facebook, tag them in everything. And you need to make sure that, you're engaged in the community and asking for the things that you want. And I think the other one was that you need to get your hands in the dirt. I think it's super, super important. We do have a question here about local farms. If you go to our website, slowfooddfw.org, there's a massive list of local farms. You can check that out. Of course, look at what Oak Cliff Veggie Project's put together as well. We're going to be sending out emails as well, so make sure you sign up for that email list, and we'll let you know as more of these projects and stuff come online, and you'll be able to
Still
reach
there?
out and support the people that are close to you. Are you still there? Oh, it looks like he's reconnecting here. Anyway, I'm just going to keep talking. So anyway, yeah. So if we can, we're going to put together a list of things that we rounded up from this conversation, and we're gonna send that out. If you're on our email list, if you're not yet, get on there, slowfooddfw.org. Make sure you're following us here on Instagram. Check us out on Facebook as well. You can find us really easily. Oh, there you are again, Ples. Sorry, you just dropped out for a second there. I just keep talking, so it's all good. And
Right.
we were just talking about local farms. I just mentioned that we've got a big list of them here on our website. And do you guys have a coordinated list anywhere yet that you can point people to?
We're still working on it. We are also very much more focused on the local farmers of color that are traditionally, and the communities that are traditionally underserved in this regard. So that's what we're going to be focusing our efforts on. There is a lot of good work being done. There's profound foods and profound market farms that they kind of service the further North Dallas area, and there's nothing kind of no collection really like that of folks working together in the southern sector. So that's where our focus is in these communities of color that really need the help. That this is where we live at, that have been traditionally underserved. Again, they end up getting the seconds and the last and the
Yeah.
side. Unfortunately, I saw something this morning where it was food that was supposed to be going to a wig market was just terrible looking. And it's like these are the people who are the most vulnerable, who actually need the healthier food for their. I mean, we're talking women, infants, and children. Like that is literally the acronym for that. For that.
Yeah.
That we're trying. And then the southern sector stations for those are getting this hand me down food that should have is way past its prime. And again, there's food that can get past its quote unquote prime of the way it looks and still be edible. But if the nutrition if it's been so long that the food has been out there and the nutritional value is gone, then they might as well be eating hot chips and candy bars. It's
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
a matter of respect for everyone. Um, Especially when it's mostly on big farms. Like it's mostly people of color who are working those farms. These are these are the people that we have to honor, these people that go out and do the hard jobs that most folks would not want to get up and do, or just unable to get up and do. And the communities who have been underserved need to be more readily served and thought about and have more say so in what happens in their community. Unfortunately, too many of our organizations operate in a way of coming into these communities and saying that this is what they need to do without actually gaining without going in to get the trust and working with the families and the people that live there. And it is a very unfortunate situation, but one that is a remnant um, symptom of the history of how this country has done business that we are working to get past, and we will get past it by any means necessary. So we're going to make
Wow.
the changes
I
that need
agree.
to happen.
It's time
We're
we
gonna,
changed it. We need fair food for everybody. And I think that's why, slow food exists really, is this idea that it's not good enough just for me or for you to have access to great food. Everybody needs access to great food. Otherwise, we're not a good community, and we have to change it. And like we said today, it starts with getting your hands in the dirt. It starts with supporting local and, hyper local if you can. But really, it's time that we raised our voices and started asking for what we want. It's not enough just to sit around and think about it, and talk about it amongst ourselves. We need to get out there and start pushing for it, demanding it, making these changes. And if the government won't do it for us, then I think we need to start running for office. I think you'd be a great candidate, Pledge. You should think about it, man.
Nah, I ain't running for no office. Like I'm the answer to that is the government can't the government the government never wanted to do it. If they have the means of doing it the right way. We just saw with the pandemic that all of a sudden there's billions of dollars to go around
There's
when
so much money.
any other time that the people would raise their voice and say, hey, how come there's no funding for this? How come there's no funding for that? And it's like, oh, we can't do that. It's going to cost us too much. And now all of a sudden there's money to make it happen. I'm done. Like I'm not waiting. We're past the point of asking for permission and waiting for somebody else to decide how something should be done and whether it should be done. Like we know what the right things are to be done, and that's what the movement and the message of the Veggie Project and all of our community partners that have been doing this for years without any major funding or without any budgets. Like we can make it happen. We have to be able to participate in the systems, and the systems as they had before don't have us participating as anything but consumers at the end of the road, so to speak. And we have to take a more participatory stance in our health and our communal strength and our well-being. And that's how we're going to get it done. And we can ask for forgiveness on the flip side if somebody doesn't like the way
I love it.
because it throws a monkey wrench in their system. So be it. Like everybody eats and everybody will eat as far as the Oak Cliff Veggie Project is concerned. Even if we have to go put a grow box in everybody's backyard.
I love it. That's what we need. Ples, thank you so much for the work that you're doing with the Oak Cliff Veggie Project. Everybody make sure you're following him, checking it out, go volunteer, check out what they've got going on, and we'll have to do this again sometime soon, man. This has been really amazing. You're so full of knowledge. Thank you so much for helping us out.
Absolutely, folks. There's a donate button on the Facebook page. If you're not comfortable with donating through Facebook, please contact us directly. We'll set up another means for you to make a financial donation if that's what you have. We are looking to immediately, like, if there's anybody out there, somebody that can help with insulation for a cold storage unit. That is what we are building. We were actually awarded some funding from the national body of the slow foods movement, which we thank you so much for that. It's one of the first kind of grants that we've actually ever received as a nonprofit. And we're going to be using that to create a kind of a cold storage system to be as a beginning of this building of infrastructure. And any of our community partners that we are working with will be able to have access to that if they are growing food, so that we can properly store and make sure that we are managing the health of the produce from seed to harvest to distribution on a local level. So if anybody out there knows somebody that does that kind of insulation for cold storage to spray on the insulation,
somebody.
please, like, we need somebody to kind of donate if they could donate the time and the equipment to make that happen. We're getting started with that. So please contact me in that regard. That's one of the key components to a resilient local ag infrastructure is having that cold storage set up to facilitate distribution and the safety of the food.
Well, it couldn't be for a better cause. And thank you so much again, Ples. And somebody asked about political strategy. Just reach out to me. I'm at Seth Brammer. I'd love to talk politics all day long. Whoever's in the comments asked that question. And
I do not like to talk politics. I like to talk community action. Like if you want to get into the ground, right? Let's go get some work done. Then you call me and we can talk about that.
All right, that sounds good, Ples. Well, we'll catch up again soon, my friend, and be safe out there. And again, thank you so much. And we'll see everybody here next week for another lunch break.
You stay safe as well, Seth. Thank you for the opportunity. We love you all.
All right.